Greetings, friends and fellow cigar box guitar enthusiasts. Del Puckett here. In this video, I'm going to walk you all through the Hall of Fame of all of my 3-string cigar box guitars. Yeah! Starting with number 1. I'll show these up close. Look at how the frets are not even straight on this guy here. They're all wonky. And number 2. First 2 guitars I built, the intonation is kind of questionable. I'll show you up close. Here's the nut. By the time I built my 3rd cigar box guitar, I finally dialed in intonation. And this one here, I have a screw or some all thread there. Number 4 actually sounds really good. Then I jumped to number 8. This one actually belongs to my daughter. And then I jumped to number 28. And then number 65. And number 100. And then this one here is like up in the 120s. I forget what the just intonation. Let's see what this one is. I forget. Oh, 130. And I have a couple of these guys that don't have any name or number on them. And just awesome instruments. And then I will also show you some of my most recent creations here. Number 400 hanging up there. And then this one here, these are the two most recent ones in addition to the palette guitar. So let me show you guys these up close and personal. This video is gonna have some sound effects. I got the rain. Then I got the dogs going to town and bones. So they will be the background effects. Okay guys, this is the very first cigar box guitar that I ever built. And there's a little bit of a story behind this thing here. Before we get into it too much, I just wanted to show you kind of where we're at here. Something's loose in there. But if you can see here that the box doesn't even line up, dude. It's like, yeah, you can really see it right here. It's not even together. Look at the gap here in the back side, on the front and the back. Keep banging it here. Bang against the window. Sorry guys. I was trying to get it close, but I keep banging the wall. Boom. Gaps here. Absolutely no back angle at all. Just some all thread here. Of course, the strings going through. Long story short, my next door neighbor, whose name was Scott, came over while I was building this guitar and asked me if I could build him one. Well, I ended up just giving this one to him. And he passed away a couple of years back, and the family wanted me to have this back. So this is the very first guitar I ever built, number 1, 001, to my good friend Scotty. So anyhow, after I gave it to Scott, he actually started doing some retrofits on it as well. You can see the neck's scalloped. Okay, well, he did that. And he also added the red. I think it's epoxy because there's 2 holes here and they don't have epoxy in them. So I think he either maybe ran out or they fell out. The other thing too is look at this clear nut. So Scott put that nut on, and then he also put these tuners on, and I think it was his kids who went back and tried to tighten them, and that's why they're all cattywampus there. This is a poplar piece, and you can see that the seam goes right down the middle. And look how thin this neck is. So I think Scotty might have adjusted or trimmed down the neck. And it's super slick, dude. I mean, the finish that he put on here is amazing. The sad part about it, oh yeah, and there's another hole for the jack here. I decided not to put the jack there because if you put it on your knee, then that plug is just going to be right there. So what did I learn on this guy here? I learned actually probably a lot, because my next guitar number 2 was a lot better. But yeah, the frets on here are not even upside, or not, I was gonna say they're not upside down. Of course they're not upside down, but they're not perpendicular. They all have like a little bit of a tilt to them. And this guitar is basically unplayable. If I plugged it in, it wouldn't even sound because everything's loose. And I tried to tune it up, but yikes. Okay, so that's number 1. Let me show you number 2. Here's number 2. Notice how I didn't ever screw these guys into the back? So I have no idea how they're even connected. All of these were stringed through on the back, popped out the back here and did the strings through here. And I always built nuts for these guys here. This one here, it's got a nut on it, and the screw, I have one screw going down and then another screw here going in this way. And this is a one-piece poplar, and I just kind of cut it at a taper because it's thinner here and it gets thicker here with a slight bit of a heel. And this here is just cut back. It's not a scarf, it's just actually, like I said, a one piece that's been cut. No back angle, but I did build a saddle that is very similar to the saddle that I use even to this day. I opted for these corners back in the day just to give it a little bit of bling bling. I have 4 corners, or 8 corners, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And a screw here that obviously has a brace on it, because this one here is braced. And apparently I used one of these pre-wired pickup with volume and control from CBGitty. Oh yeah, and the tuners are CBGitty tuners as well. So this guitar, even though it's not perfect, could somewhat play in tune, a lot better in tune than that one. Yeah. All this has to do is with the nut placement, because the nut placement is not correct as to where the frets are. So yeah, still not perfect, still kind of jicky, still kind of cringy. Number 2. All right, let me show you number 3. Here's number 3. And I think it was in between number 2 and number 3 where I built the jig for the fret slotting, and then started using, I wasn't using a jumbo yet, but I went to this all thread here for the nut. Again, this is another one-piece poplar, just carved. You know, I cut that back. It's not a scarf, it's just a one-piece that's been carved back. Again, the CBGitty tuners. Opted for the roundy here. I'm still going through the back end here, and it roundy on the back end, strings through. I'm still not doing screw through the body yet. And I have no idea if there's braces in here, but I did opt for just 4 top corners on this guy here. This one here is obviously shellacked or varnished. And then these are not solder burns. These are just, I think, magic marker and with nails on the top. But this one here finally sounds in tune. Kind of loose. Something's loose in there. Oh, I know what it is. Yeah, watch here. Check this out. Look at this gap here. Again, there's no screws in the back holding it in. So, loosey-goosey. But, guys, check this out here. Not perfect, but definitely playable. This is number 4, and it took me 4 builds to get to a guitar where I finally felt that I was getting what I was after. So this one here, because it was number 4, I wanted to have 4 strings on it. So I put 4 tuners on, and I strung it up with four strings. But then I started playing it, and the strings were too close together, so I was like, I went back to 3. So I put one in the middle here so that the string could be in the center. This here is an Ibanez pickup that I salvaged from a dumpster dive. Opted for the screen mesh that was spray painted gold and then hot glued on the inside. This is the first guitar where I actually did the screw in to screw in the neck to the box. This is an oak neck with a little bit of a heel. This is also the first guitar that I built using a fretboard. And those position markers are, you know, when you drill it and you put a dowel through it and you cut it off. And then also the bolt for the nut, nails for the position markers on the top. Of course, spray painted yellow. Why? I have no idea. Maybe to match the box. But anyhow, when I put this guitar together and played it, it was like finally in tune. And this guitar quickly became my favorite guitar. So the amp settings are all 12 o'clock, no effects, no nothing. And listen to how this guitar sounds. Yeah, buddy. So number 4, took me 4 attempts to finally get where I was going for, the sound that I was hearing in my head. So guitar number 5 was a gift. Guitar number 6, I have no idea what happened to that one. This is guitar number 7. This one here turned out to be a Christmas present for my oldest daughter, Shailene. Again, I was using oak necks. This one here has a poplar fretboard. And a headstock that looks like it was designed after a tailor. And there is a scarf joint with wings, CBGD tuners. And the headstock was just painted like this turquoise blue. And then the same thing here, these dowels for the fret position markers are also turquoise blue. And I had drilled and then put candy sticks in for the position markers for the top side. The blue, I wanted it to tie into the box all around here. And the blue is also in the design here and also for the grommets. Looks like I used a lamp rod for the bridge there. And then, of course, some sound holes. Oh, yeah, I wanted to point out there is a little nut on here. Look at that little clear nut. And some eyelets here. So I had a little bit of design going on here. I'm still using the 4 corners. or the 8 corners, and I'm still doing the screw in for the to screw the box to the neck. This one here is obviously just a piezo. Oh yeah, you can feel it, hear it. So that's right there. Oh wow, this is backwards. Listen. Turn it up, it goes down. Turn it down, it goes up. So that's wired backwards. So that's number 7. Next, I jump to number 28. All the other ones, I think I must have sold them or gave them away or whatnot. This one here I decided to keep because my wife liked the box. So this became her guitar. If you know the story about this one here was unplayable. It was just art. So I took it apart during the Christmas season and rebuilt it, put a pickup in it, gave it a little bit of a back angle, and I just made it playable. I left everything else the same. Oh yeah, I did. I recarved the neck because the neck was a little square and I liked it a little roundier here. So other than that, it's still original. But this one here has got really nice intonation. Of course, plugged in. It's got the single coil here. Oh yeah, this guitar screams. So that's number 28. Moving right along. So from 28 to 65, I lost track of those. Sold them, gave them away. Not sure what happened to them. But here on number 65, you can see here there's a sound hole that goes all the way through here. So I have what I call a personal sound hole. And I have springs inside here. I don't know if you can see those. Yeah, you can't see those. I have a spring on the top side and a spring on the bottom side. And you can really hear it. Yeah, the acoustic sound of this one here, it's a deeper box. And I'm definitely doing back angle. So by this stage of the game here, number 65, I'm doing the back angle. And I'm going through the body here. Oh yeah, the reason for this sticker here is because when I screwed these holes, it wasn't straight, and so they came out kind of wonky here on the bottom. They weren't straight, so I put a little sticker to cover my sins. But this headstock, this neck, this was my favorite, or this was my best neck to date when I built this guitar. That's why I decided to keep it. Little tiny little solder burns for the top and the bottom. This is a poplar neck, and it just, my gosh, I don't know what happened on this thing here, but this turned out to be the best neck that I ever built. In fact, it is so straight. The frets are so perfectly dressed. I can even say probably, I don't know if I've ever done a better neck than this. So it's good every once in a while to get lucky. I did actually go back and retrofit this thing here to put in this pickup. And the pickup is not as hot as I would have liked it to be. But I think there's a piezo. It's got to be a piezo and a humbucker, because I have a three-way here. So let's hear what it sounds like. Ah, that ain't bad at all. Oh yeah, that ain't bad at all. That's awesome. I called this one the Dream Sickle, number 65. Can you hear me now? So yeah, so I started getting creative with springs and wings and having a good old time. Next is number 100. Now I wanted number 100 to be a special one, so I picked an authentic Cuban box. Now you can tell if a box is authentic Cuban if it has three things. Number one, it has to have this orange on yellow with a little fingerprint of tobacco in the upper left of the box. The second thing it needs to have is this authentic certificate seal here. And if you look at that, you can see, just memorize what that looks like because that's the authentic one. And then the third thing is this branding right here, this Hencho Habanos. I'm butchering the pronunciation there, but Hencho in Cuba. So let's have three things. 1, 2, and 3 to be the trifecta. So this guitar here, I'm telling you, man, this is a very, very inspiring instrument. I do have the 0 fret. And look how grungy those frets are, because this thing gets played and played and played. One of my favorite guitars to play. This is, I was doing the hinge, but I wasn't doing the nail. I was just kind of doing the loop there back in the day. This only has a piezo, but I am going to go back and retrofit this thing with a real pickup because this guitar here is so fun to play. One of my favorite guitars, number 100. Next up in my personal collection is this number 138. Now this one here was my first attempt at just intonation, and you can tell by the jicky frets, the skinny frets, the fat frets. These are crazy instruments, guys, crazy instruments. I am doing a 0 fret, and I'm doing like a bolt through the eyelets for the string tie downs. Huge heel on this guy. I don't know what I was thinking. This does have the trifecta, 1, 2, and 3. But guys, just intonation is a thing. I'm telling you what. Listen how pure these chords sound. Now again, just intonation is when you move the frets to be in alignment with the harmonic series. so fun to play, so fun to play. So that's number 138. Next, we jump up to 245. This box here actually belongs to my other daughter, Danielle, who is a guitar player. And I gave this one to her because this one here is a player's guitar. Not fancy build, but my gosh, does this thing sound amazing and plays amazing. There are no bracing on here. So if you look in the corner, there's no screw here because there's nothing in the corners to brace this guitar down. It's just, and you can actually tell by squeezing it. It's got that whammy bar effect, which is actually cool. So the top rattles around, and that just adds to the character of this guitar. Oh my gosh. This one does have the Lowe's fretboard, and it is a poplar neck with solder burns and screws in the solder burns. So there you have it. Obviously it's just a piezo. Again, this is another one of those that I'm going to probably go back and put a pickup in it because it's just an amazingly inspired instrument. Yeah, you can hear the distortion and the rattling. Gosh, settle down. Cat fight, cat fight. Oh yeah, listen up here. Oh yeah, guys, seriously, you need to build a cigar box guitar. All right, moving right along. And then I wanted to build myself an instrument, so I got this Java box here, and this one here, it does not have a signature or a number, and I forget what sequence this is. Look at those volume control knobs. I have the dual hinge here because I have 4 strings. This here pickup is a 1990s Tom Anderson humbucker. So I do have an oak neck with a poplar fretboard and solder burns for the position markers. CBGD tuners, scarf joint with wings. And guys, this guitar sounds amazing. Yep, what a rich sound. I do have 2 springs in here, one on the bottom that's connected to the neck, and then one on the top that's connected to these bracings. And here's another one that I just had fun with. I got one of these reticle boxes from work, from Intel, and then started just getting crazy with stickers and more stickers. Got some springs on here. I do have, you can see the battery here. I have, and the circuit up here, it's called a psycho knob. It's basically just a 5-stage gain distortion circuit where the more you click it, the more distorted it gets. And this one here needs to be replaced because I think the potentiometer got a little bit dirty. I do have a battery here for the hinge. And guys, if you never tried this, try it, because what it does is, because the battery top is round instead of like sharp like a fret, it gives you that kind of a muted, like you're doing palm muting all the time. That's what that does. I think it sounds awesome. And I do have buttons for the position markers. You can see those little buttons in there. And of course, nails for the top. This is a poplar piece, but I take it back. This is a walnut fretboard with a walnut neck with a poplar fretboard. That's what this is. So you gotta hear the psycho knob. You gotta hear the psycho knob. And like I said, it's gonna be a little bit staticky because it needs to be replaced. So I'm gonna put it on the single coil because it sounds better than the piezo, but just trust me that the piezo, it's in there. Here, there's the piezo. But so you can hear the psycho knob, I'm using the single coil. So this is the clean sound. And it crackled. So you might want to plug your ears because I say this is a mousetrap. I go, hey, put your finger in there. Stop. One of our favorite pastimes when we were in Oregon, my wife and I, we would go up the coast to all the thrift shops. Well, I stumbled onto this one thrift shop and I found this wine list menu. Must have been from a long time ago because top sirloin was $6.50. Steak and lobster was $9. Come on. So put a hinge on it and a little piezo underneath here, and the plug right here just goes. The plug just goes straight to the piezo. Simple Simon. Nothing to it. A couple of tuners, and then some eyelets to hold the string down to just a screw, and then string it up. Oh yeah, and I drank a bottle of wine and cut the top off. Made a little The last guitar I built when I was in Oregon was this one here, number 400. And if you haven't seen my Hal Burwinkle tribute video, I'll put a link to it right here. He's the one who made this neck and gave it to me. And then, of course, I went ahead and put the logo on it and then varnished it and stained it and got these legit old Fender tuners, put it on here. Got this box, custom pickups, Nice rusty old F-holes. Rusty corners, a nice big oversized Padron box. I just wanted to build kind of a nice guitar memento, and I did. This is the way it sounds. So that was the last guitar that I built in Portland. And then I moved to Albuquerque, New Mexico to initiate grandpa duties. And so I was on a 1.5-year hiatus while I was moving and transitioning and building this workshop. And then I started building again right around the Christmas season. And I'll show you. Yeah, I have three more to show you, so stick around for the last 3. So I started building again a couple of months back. This one here, number 409. I call this the coal caster. And the reason being is because I got a charcoal briquette and then just started scraping and scratching this thing here, distressing it. And I like the way the patina turned out. The saddle is an eraser. Just an eraser with a screw on the top here. But that eraser, oh my gosh, it sounds so good. Of course, I do have the pentatonic fret spacing, but the secret weapon of this one here is this barbed wire strap. And yes, that is barbed wire. So it serves as a strap, and also if you get yourself into a brawl and you need a weapon, my gosh, these things are sharp. Pokey, pokey. I love the way this eraser makes this piezo sound. Check this out. Of course, when you have these huge gaps, you get these cool effects. So, number 409. Next up is this pallet caster. This guitar was built from a pallet. And if you haven't seen the build video, you need to go check it out. I'll put the link right up here. One-piece oak, solid walls, of course, a single coil Seymour Duncan in the bridge position. This is basically an electric guitar. Oh yeah, I almost forgot. Because this guitar is so dense and so heavy and so thick-walled, people wanted to know what it sounded like unplugged. So this is unplugged. Unsigned, unsignatured. So as of the recording of this video, this is my most recent cigar box guitar build. This will be number 414. This is my Happy St. Patrick's Day commemorative 3-string cigar box guitar that is going to be hanging at the wall in PADRES guitars. PADRES Cigars in Corrales, New Mexico. And this is what it sounds like plugged in. All right, so that takes you from number 1 to number 414. If you like these videos, be sure to subscribe, comment, like, share, hit that notification button, bell, whatever you want to call it, and we will see you in the next video. All right, guys, so check out this last little video clip. You might like it.